Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and this is the recap for Ambitions. So it started off with Rondell and her feelings because, as you know, 60 or over 60% of the signatures that were received were from people who weren't even from that area. And you know that Stephanie, some of her people or whatever are behind it. And even Rondell is well aware that Stephanie has something to do with it, or Greg Peters himself. So yeah, she's in her feelings about it. And you know, her boyfriend is like, well, it came down from the city, so he feels as though her brother has something to do with it. And her father was in the room, and you know, he wasn't trying to hear that about his child. So anyway, she's just so deep in her feelings right now that she asks to be left alone. And I don't blame her, because that's a lot to deal with. So Carly's girlfriend, what's her name? Purefoy daughter. She was having this event at her family's business because it's just a great space. And the person who she allowed to have it there, you know, they were very happy about it, and they were just like, oh my gosh, this is such a great space and all that. Meanwhile, her attention was diverted elsewhere because some woman caught her attention and basically suggested that she and this guy have a threesome. And keep in mind, Carly is not the person who approached her about this, and she's supposed to be in a serious relationship with her. So they end up actually going off and having a threesome together. I was just like, wow, you just don't care. Okay. So the mayor and his wife are at the house having breakfast, and they're discussing what happened as far as everything is concerned with his sister not being able to get the signatures because of what was happening on the internet. And he's convinced that she had something to do with it, and she was like, well, I didn't have anything to do with that. She's convinced that he had something to do with it, and he was just like, I wouldn't do that to my family. So they're having a moment, and then Stephanie's phone goes off. So the notification that came through was a picture of Titus being arrested. So she's in her feelings, and y'all know she ain't trying to hear nothing about that. So I was like, oh my gosh. So y'all know Titus did get out of jail, and so he came to work, and the daughter is there, and she was like, I can't believe you actually showed up and all that or whatever. I can't believe you had enough time to even show up to work. And you know, she was reading him about him being in jail and all this other stuff, and you know, they always have their back and forth. He was just trying to figure out where the dad was at, and he wasn't there at the moment. And she was just like, I should have never hired you. I'm just like, girl. Anyway, he was just like, look, I'll come back when there's an adult at the desk. And so, you know, she's just steadily reading him, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. It's like there's nothing really he could say right now. But, you know, he did say, you know, I just need for you to do your job. And when people call and ask about me, just tell them that I'm innocent and that y'all are fully 100% backing me and behind me and throughout this whole situation, because y'all know I'm innocent. Bella ended up rolling up on her mama while she was at work because she needs to be able to get some stuff done for the clothing, you know, the textile company. And with the child around, since he's so young, he's going to be into everything. And so she was just like, I need for you to keep him. And her mama is actually working. And so, you know, she was just like, I might be able to get somebody to cover my shift. So she takes the baby. Y'all, later on, after she gets off and gets somebody to cover her shift, she meets up with Evan. And, you know, this is something secret that she's doing. And she was just like, look, my child grew up without her father, and I don't want Joaquin to grow up without his father. And Bella ended up coming back early. She came in and she was like, what is going on here? And y'all, I can't. I think I either never heard it happen before, or they made a point to put it in this episode. But when they were making the boy go somewhere else and he was going to leave or whatever, after words were exchanged between Bella and Evan, the baby was like, bye-bye, Mr. Evan. So the baby don't even know that's his daddy. And I'm just like, I'm tired. Like, this is all too much. So anyway, Bella's in her feelings. She made her mama leave. And, you know, despite her having a lot of work to do, like being super busy with all this stuff going on, she told her mama to leave. And you could tell that she's furious with her. And she ended up telling Evan that she ain't got time for all what's going on right now and that he needs to adhere to the schedule because they have a schedule put in place so that he could see him. And so he was like, I already told you that I will see my son by any means. And that's what he's been doing. So y'all, it's a lot. So when, this is an observation I made. So when Bella dropped the baby off at the diner, Senior was there, which is Evan's daddy. And he was there and, you know, he was cordial and all that. And even the child rolled up on him and he was holding him for a little while. I think he know a little bit about what's going on as far as having a hunch that that's his grandchild. So yeah, I'm waiting to see if that shoe gonna drop as far as that's concerned. So anyway, moving right along. Back at the office, Amara then came into work and there are people like huddled around Damien. So she went on past them because, you know, of course, her husband has been accused of doing these heinous things to him. So she went on about her business. So he gonna follow her into her office and was like, I mean, basically trying to make it seem like, you know, your husband did these things to me and, you know, you already know you need to just get with me and your husband isn't worthy and all this other stuff. Like, you need to just, he was like, I'm going to drop the charges because what happened was he has dropped the charges because after Stephanie saw what she saw, she rolled all the way up on him and was like, I told you what your job was and it wasn't to mess up his career. It was just to mess up their marriage. So she said, I don't know how you're going to do it, but you need to figure out what you need to do in order to get that situation handled. So he's dropping the charges and he was like, look, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm dropping the charges, but you need to go ahead and get with me and come back to Birmingham with me because we make an amazing team. Amara stood up and slapped the fire out of him, and I was here for it. But yeah, she was not here for that. Mm-mm. So yeah, Senior is planning on marrying the woman who's been around that, you know, he was basically about to die on. It was just crazy when he stopped taking his medication because it made things not work the way they should. But yeah, he's planning on proposing to her. And also, there's this guy who works in IT at Amara's job, and he rolled up on her one day and was like, hey girl, how you doing? And basically was trying to, you know, butter her up and try to make it seem like, you know, she looks good. And so she was like, you looking good too? And so apparently she put him on to this juice diet or whatever. So anyway, he was making small talk in order to segue into saying something about how her security patch needs to be, you know, updated on her laptop, her government issued laptop and all this other stuff. So she's like, oh, okay, well, you know, you can give it to me. And so he was like, oh, I keep forgetting that you're one of the very few people who is tech savvy, excuse me. So, you know, she can do those updates, those patches herself or whatever. So he was like, well, you know, you let me know if you need any help with that. And, you know, he ended up mentioning about how she's very hardworking and she's up to like 3 and 4 some in the morning. And so she had to kind of play it off. And then it started registering that had to have been Titus. And later on, she does confront him about it and was like, I'm just so done with you right now, like, for real. And so he was like, well, we need to get rid of him because she was like, I just don't understand what has changed. And he said, the only thing that has changed is that Damien is here. Like, nothing else has changed about me. So she was just like, I can't even fool with you right now. Because she was in her feelings. She was like, this is my livelihood. I have very sensitive data on my stuff. These are very case sensitive. You can't sit up there and just be on my stuff. And I was like, oh gosh, like, it's a lot. It's too much. So Rondell's brother, of course, the mayor, Evan, he rolled up on her because he actually promised Stephanie that he would, because he needs to kind of butter her up to meet up with her. He's trying to get some documentation, some legal stuff drawn up so that they can, go forward with all the little stuff they're trying to do with Greg Peters. So, he was like, well, I don't think she's going to really go for all that, but, all I could do is ask her. So she actually did agree to the meeting, but she said she wasn't going to promise anything and all that good stuff. Y'all, tell me why Titus and Amara got into it about her laptop and all that stuff like I told y'all earlier. And meanwhile, we see Damien. Like, you can tell that something sexual is happening to him. And I'm thinking that some random woman is topping him off. Come to find out, it's the tech guy. And the tech guy was like, I don't know why Amara gave up on all of this meat. And I was just like, wait a minute. Like, it was too much, y'all. I was so tired in my spirit. I was like, okay, this is what we do. Like, I feel like he's just one of those guys that he really doesn't care where he gets sex from as long as it's happening. He seems like the level of crazy that he's on and the mental, as far as mentally is concerned, I feel like he does not care as long as some sort of penetration and sensation sexually is happening. I've actually had clients that were like that. I had this one of my instructors, my favorite social work instructor, told us that when she was out in the field and, really out there doing stuff social work wise, that she had a client and the client would sit up there and she would have sex with inanimate objects. And one time she did something with the bed and she was thrusting so hard that she shattered her pelvic bone. It's too much. It really is too much. So like I'm saying, I really feel like he's just one of those people where he don't care where he get it from as long as something is happening. So anyway, y'all, later on, Stephanie meets up with the Purifoy daughter, and she invited her to the house, but under the guise of she's Carly when she's not. So she was like, oh, well, let me guess, it wasn't even from her. She was like, oh, the message came from her laptop. I texted her from your laptop. So she was meeting up with her, and she was like, again, you need to leave my daughter alone. And so she was just like, we're together and all this other stuff. And she wasn't trying to hear that. And so she was like, well, I wouldn't be a gracious host if I don't actually, invite you to have a drink. So she was like, you do seem so thirsty these days. And so she calls two people in by name to serve drinks. And so I don't know why she stood there. So she stood there. The people who she had the threesome with are the ones who came in with a platter, with a tray that had drinks on them. She looked so shook. When I saw them, I was like, wait a minute. Because I don't know why. For some reason, I didn't pay attention to the girl. But when I saw the guy, I was like, wait a minute. And then she started actually having flashbacks to that night. And she realized she'd been set up. So she was like, either you going to break it off with my daughter, or I'm going to just show her the tapes. So she was like, you recorded me? And so she was like, you ain't got to worry about all that. You need to do what you need to do and leave my daughter alone. So since Bella did away with her mother, she's at the house with Joaquin by herself, and he is getting into stuff. He's messing up her sketches. Like, it's just a lot of kids. It's like, I don't know what it is about kids. Sometimes it's like they see stuff. It's like no matter what you do, it's like they know it's important, and so they will tear it up or try their best to destroy it. So that's what he was doing, and I was like, oh my gosh. So anyway, Senior dropped by, and he was like, well, have you eaten? And all that good stuff. So I was trying to talk to her about some things, and he actually mentioned that he is gonna propose to his girl, and she was excited for him about that. And so he was like, well, you look like you have a handful and you got a lot of work going on. Maybe I can, help you out with that. So he ended up, kind of playing with the son. And like I said earlier, I think he knows that that's his grandson. He must have some features that he had when he was a child that's making him look like, okay, what's going on here? So we'll see. So the meeting happens, and basically Stephanie proposes that they are going to fully remodel Thelma's, and Rondell was like, we have terms, I have some demands. And so she basically was saying that she wants to keep the name and she wants to be able to still own the land. And so she was like, you can't own the land, but we will put you on a lease, a 99-year lease. And, she really did read. She was like, nobody wants that name. So she was like, excuse me. She was like, oh no, what I mean to say is, the name should stay with the family. And I was just like, girl. So she basically said that she would have everybody compensated who works for her and the other people who they are affiliated with that works in that same area or whatever, because the girlfriend to Senior, she has a daycare center, and of course Bella's mama works for her, stuff like that. So she was saying that everybody will be compensated. Y'all, as soon as she left the room, she told the person that's going to draw up the contracts to leave out the 99-year lease, to leave out compensation for the people, and basically anything. She was just like, that hood rat, that ghetto trash, that whatever. She was talking about she ain't gonna read it. She'll sign anything. So just leave all that out. I ain't gotta worry about her signing. And I was just like, oh my gosh. The Pure Ford daughter ended up meeting Carly when she got out of class. She was coming in her car and she was just there. So what she wanted to do, she just wanted to head her mama off at the pass. And so she told her that, whatever this is that they have going on is going to have to stop. She looking at her like, what do you mean whatever this is? Because apparently, it's obvious that they're in a relationship. So she basically was like, look, I might as well just say everything I'm going to say. And she told her about what happened with the threesome and all this other stuff. And she even said that her mama was behind it. And she seems to believe that part, but, of course she's in her feelings because this is her real first serious situation. So she told her to leave her alone, get out of her face and all that. Okay, bye, you gotta go. So there's this dinner that they're having at Thelma's to commemorate the anniversary of them actually opening it up and all that stuff. And, of course, Rondell thinks it's in poor taste that he, meaning her father, would propose to the new woman on such a date. Of any days, why would you do that on the anniversary of the date that it was opened up? I kind of agree with that, I ain't gonna lie. Even though the woman been gone 35 years. But still, I'm just saying, in a way, it's still disrespectful. So anyway, everybody's arriving, and Stephanie gets this phone call, and it seems as though she needs to get Rondell's signature within a very, very, very short amount of time, like that day, within 24 hours or before the end of that night. And it's literally night right then. And so Evan was like, don't you do this here. It's a special day. Whatever it is you got going on, don't even do this. So she was like, I could be low-key about it. So she was like, Rondell, can I talk to you for a moment? And she was like, no, not really, because I'm trying to host right now. And so she was like, I really need to talk to you right now. So she pulled her to the side, tried to talk to her. And other people are talking. It gets to the point where Rondell gets loud. Was like, I'm not signing nothing. Setting it all the way off. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Y'all, it's too much. So it got to the point where since she over there yelling, Stephanie feels like showtime. Now it's time for me to be loud too and let everybody know what's going on. So that's when she drops the bomb about them signing that paperwork, the contracts. And nobody knew about it. And of course, it's like I said earlier, it's going to affect Senior's girlfriend and everybody else who's involved. And so Bella's mama was like, is this true? She was like, all this time we've been riding for you. We've been right behind you. And you over here working with the enemy. She went all the way off. She was like, what about us? And then the girlfriend went all the way off and was like, is this true? You knew about all this? You never said anything? and she went off, and he literally was in the middle of proposing to her when all this went down. She mad, he ran after her, and the woman's mad. You know, Bella's mom was mad. Then Rondell in her feel like everybody in their feelings, and was like, I don't want to talk about it, leave me alone, because she's still trying to get those papers signed. Like, she was adamant. I don't know if somebody said, you would have thought somebody said, if you don't get them to sign these papers within 24 hours, I'm blowing all your family members up, I'm killing everybody, or something. Like, the way that she was reacting and just the urgency in her voice, like the desperation. I was just like, what in the world, y'all? And you know, everybody had to go one by one. Of course, he's in his, her husband is in his feelings, and was like, this is something that didn't need to happen tonight. Whatever, y'all. It's just all too much. Like, I'm sorry to keep saying that, but it really is too much going on in the show. And I mean, even the guy who is Rondell's boyfriend, the congressman, he even went off, because he feels like they did all this work together, and she's just gonna sit up there and sign everything right over and basically work with the devil. So he left so she can chase after him. But anyway, y'all, that was the recap. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope y'all having a wonderful weekend. Y'all have a good one. Thank y'all for all my new subscribers. I really appreciate y'all. Hey, I hope y'all are having a good one. You have a good weekend. Bye, y'all.